Welcome back, movie fans, to The Movie Date with Rob and Zach. I am Zach.
And I'm Rob.
And this week, it's our blind date.
Yes.
Where you did Swiss Army Man.
You swallowed really awkwardly there. You're like, Swiss up.
I had something in my throat just a little bit. I mean, it's the perils of podcasting right
good.
here. So yeah, Rob, what did you think of Swiss Army Man? This was my pick for you.
We're supposed to synopsize it.
Oh yeah, we are.
You said you were going to do that.
Well, I was good.
Okay, that's fine.
So, the movie Swiss Army Man, as told by Google, is being stranded on a desert island, leaves young Hank, played by Paul Dano,
Yeah.
bored, lonely, and without hope. As a rope hangs around his neck, Hank prepares to end it all until suddenly spots a man, played by Daniel Radcliffe, laying on the shore. Unfortunately, he is dead and quite flatulent. Using the gassy body to his advantage, Hank miraculously makes it back to the mainland. However, he now finds himself lost in the wilderness and dragging the talking corpse named Manny along for the adventure.
Yeah. That's a fair.
It's a weird premise for a movie.
Yeah.
And I get the term Swiss Army Man comes from the fact that he uses the dead body as like a multi-purpose tool set.
Yeah, has powers.
His flatulence, is like the boost of a rocket. Like his arm can be cocked back and used as like a chopping
Buzz Lightyear
thing.
style.
Yeah.
Chop deal.
With the karate chop action.
Yeah.
And tons and lots of other things.
Yeah. What did
you think, Rob? This is my pick for you. The last time we did a blind date, it was Man of Steel. You gave me Man of Steel to watch.
Yeah.
I didn't feel too great about that. How did you feel about watching Swiss Army Man?
I kind of feel like you did walking out of Man of Steel. Where it was like, I think by the end of that podcast, you had more respect for it than when you walked in, because we got to talk about it and I got to tell you what I like about it.
Right.
This movie, you
broke it down for me.
Yeah, and I think that when I went into this movie, I was expecting to hate it because I'd heard things from other people about it and stuff.
It's quite a polarizing movie. It's got.
I don't think so. I think the people's reactions are definitely polarizing.
It is I saw it in theaters when it first came out because I was really stoked about it. So I was like, what? Daniel Radcliffe's playing a dead body, like the whole movie, like what is this weirdness? And so I went and saw it in theaters, and there was like maybe 5 of us in the theater, opening day, and it's the first movie that I legit saw somebody just like walk out in disgust.
Yeah, I can understand it. I don't think the movie is polarizing, but I think this movie is a double-edged sword. Like when I walked into this movie, I was expecting to hate it. I was like, it's going to be a hipstery movie, and it's going to have a weird soundtrack, and it's going to be about finding oneself amidst chaos and weirdness and stuff, which it's got all that. That is in there. But I think what this movie is, oh Jesus,
it's even set in like the Northwest, like Washington, Hipsterville, USA.
And I think that
I mean, it's got Scott Pilgrim alumni in it. Like,
this movie is like the closest thing I can compare it to, and these movies aren't alike at all. This is a movie like an example of like a movie that I had similar feelings about was a horror movie called It Comes at Night. And it was made by a director who was like, well, what do you think about it?
Right.
That's what this director.
A lot of it's open to interpretation.
Yeah, it's open to interpretation, and it's.
Well, I mean, especially, like what happens in the movie isn't necessarily open to interpretation.
No,
but
how
the way it makes
there.
you feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. This movie gives you lots of feels. And
I would even say there are definitely parts of it that are just flat out open to interpretation. It's not even like like we'll get into spoilers. For most of our blind dates, by the way, going on, they're going to be mostly spoiler heavy. Like we're not going to spend too long in the spoiler free section because these are movies that have been out for a good while, so we don't feel like we should have to.
Yeah, and you better have had seen them.
Yeah, but I think that I walked out of this movie saying like I don't hate it. There's parts of it that I quite like, and I don't always like movies with a quote unquote message, but I feel like this one does have a message, and it's pretty heartwarming. I'm all about heart.
I don't know, man. You saw a heartwarming message. I got a lot of different kinds of vibes from it.
Oh, so did I.
Besides the heartwarming,
yeah, we'll get into that. But like I said, that's the open to interpretation part. But even if the movie does have a dark and sinister turn to it, I still feel like the message and the intention of the filmmaker is an uplifting one.
Okay.
Because
yeah, I can dig that.
because the way he
Well,
way he
it's-
portrays the message in the
You're gonna have
movie.
to make that plural, buddy, because it was a duo director.
Yeah, I remember that.
By the Daniels, which I haven't never heard of these dudes before.
No.
This movie, they came seemingly out of nowhere. Mr. Daniel Kwan
and they're
and
going
Daniel
right back to nowhere,
Schreinet.
baby.
Yeah, maybe.
This movie didn't make a lot of money. It didn't
no,
do very well.
Like I said, like opening day when I saw, there was like maybe 5 or 6
Yeah.
people in the movie.
It was made for
theater.
like 1.5 million, and it probably made it back that much. So
maybe I don't even know.
I mean, the total gross was about 3 million. I checked it online. So that means, including like marketing and theaters take a little cut of the money, they probably broke even. Which is, for an indie film, is fine. If it's like a giant blockbuster or whatever, people get fired for that. But this is a movie that I don't think anyone else was like. I don't think a studio has expectations. We need a sequel and franchise this baby. Like,
Yeah, no, this is definitely like a one
I wouldn't
shot.
go to Swiss Army Man 2. I'm gonna be
No,
honest
the
with
Swiss
you.
Army Man does not need to be a franchise. I wouldn't see the sequel,
No.
but yeah,
I walked out of this movie appreciating it, even though I just flat out don't like some of it. But there are a lot more parts that I enjoyed. I think the performances,
everybody poops.
yeah, I think the performances are really strong. It's quite funny at times. Daniel Radcliffe he's really good in this.
He is
Yeah.
out of sight in this movie. It's probably like the best thing I've ever seen him in.
He plays both the straight man and the comic relief at the same time,
It's incredible.
which is weird.
And he plays a pretty good dead guy.
Yeah, I mean, dead-ish. Not to spoil
Like,
it, but
did you know that that's like a genre now, like zombie love stories? I feel like this could almost be in that category.
yeah. Well, I mean, let me finish summing up my thoughts so we can get into the nitty gritty, because that's what I really want to do with this. I think this is a movie all about, what do you think? Like I said, I was talking about It Comes at Night. It Comes at Night is a horror movie about a post-apocalyptic world. There's a big virus and it's killing people, and it's about a family living in the woods, Alex Jones style. They have a bunker and some guns, and it's a dad trying to keep his wife and his son alive. And the movie opens with them burying their spoiler alert.
Sounds tense.
It is. It's a movie I might issue you to see what you think about it, but it opens with them burying their grandfather.
I thought that movie was like a vampire movie.
Well, this is part of my frustration with it, is because it's about the filmmaker. One, he directly deceives you with the marketing and the synopsis of the movie. Two, he deliberately leaves things out, and he puts things in that don't make any sense for the express reason of making you confused.
Okay.
Yeah, and part of it pisses me off, but part of it helps. It depends on like which parts.
Sure,
of the
I
movie
can dig that. I mean, that's
you're
why we
talking
like
about.
Cloverfield, right?
Yeah, but it's a good. I mean, Cloverfield, I think, is even more solid ground than that movie.
Oh,
is.
really?
Because like it's all about, what do you think it is? Because the thing about it, like the official synopsis from It Comes at Night is I'm paraphrasing, but it's like a father fights for survival with his family and son as the world descends into chaos amidst a huge calamity. But as the darkness outside
Calamity.
Yeah.
Use that word.
Yeah, but as the darkness outside creeps towards them and something is stalking their house, well, how far will you go to protect the ones you love? Here's the thing.
Will you go?
But here's the thing. There is nothing creeping towards them.
So it's what? Just their own existential dread or whatever that's
To a
supposed to
degree,
be what
yeah.
comes at night?
To a degree. Yeah, nothing comes at night. in
My
the movie.
fear.
Yeah, I guess that's the way some people interpreted it. I said, they pitched it like there's a monster in this movie or something that is literally stalking them at night, and it's not true.
Right.
Now, what we get instead, there are some genuinely scary moments. There's 2 nightmares in that movie, and it's weird because it's a dream sequence, and it's a dream sequence when you're watching it. They scared the shit out of me. And we've talked about horror movies a lot. Like, I don't get scared that easy. But those 2
Right.
parts made my blood run cold, and I was like, that's terrifying. But the movie is like, it leaves so many questions purposely unanswered because they're trying to put you in the point of view of the father character and say, all right, you don't know what's happening here, just like the father doesn't know what's happening here. So it's trying to make you feel the emotions of the characters. And I feel maybe not like this. Not that Swiss Army Man does this, but it's the same vein of filmmaking. It's what do you think about it? Is Paul Dano a guy who got stranded at sea and tried to get off and then tried to kill himself,
Right.
and then from then on it's all bullshit? It's all a hallucination in his brain, or
I just found this actually. I've been doing a little comp trolling for the show
Sure.
while you're on your monologue there.
Yeah.
And I found this. It was an interview with NPR that the directors of Swiss Army Man did, and they asked him like why farting, why a corpse that
dead
farts?
bodies shit themselves.
And well, he was like, we just felt like if we set the bar real low at the beginning of the movie, then it's all uphill.
I guess. I mean, I didn't even hate I've heard people who say like the movie opens with a dead guy farting a bunch, and that's when they walked out. That didn't offend me. Like when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is.
No, I think she walked out whenever he started using the Manny's boner as a compass
to get home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my uncle saw this movie and he hated it, and he said the movie opens with like a dead guy farting a bunch, and I was like. He hated that. And I was like, okay, like what's
that killed it for him.
I was like, what's the
well? I guess you
context of
really
that?
like if you start a movie off like that, you really separate your audience right there at the fucking beginning. You're like,
really
okay, if this isn't for you, it's not for you. The rest of you guys, come on in, bring it in.
And also, like, what are you gonna do? Like, leave? Like, it's called Swiss Army Man. It's a weird indie flick. I have no expectations. I mean, I had expectations going into it because I thought I would hate it. But if I saw that trailer for the first time, I was like, I don't know what this is. I'd watch it once, and that's about the level of like I had. I thought I was going to be like, this is stupid, and Zach, you need to grow up a little bit. This is stupid, immature, hipstery nonsense about like trying not to feel alone in the world, but it's done in the most ham-fisted and stupid way, and I hate it. And I walked out going, no, I can see why people would like it, and I can see why people would hate it. This is going to be one of those episodes where it's a middle-of-the-road movie, and I know they're not entertaining podcasts, but it is what I felt about it.
It's kind of like a quiet place for me. Like, yeah, it was good, but
I would say there are parts of this that are really good, and then there are parts that I think that are just like I said, it's there. The filmmakers are doing it for a reason, but they're not going to tell you the reason so that you can sort of read what you want. You want to go ahead and get. You want to go ahead and
that they do that. Like they give it
yeah
so much leeway. But yeah, like this movie deals with a lot of crazy themes. So we learn more about the character Paul Dano's character. As the movie progresses, we learn that he's a loner. You know, he doesn't know how to talk to people really.
Yeah, he's a misfit.
Yeah, his he has like masturbation issues.
Yeah,
things like that.
Does he really, or do you think he just said that?
I don't know.
That's a
again,
weird thing.
It's
like,
probably also open to interpretation.
Again, like Manny could just be reading into that.
So when the
Manny
dead body
could not even be real. Also, like
he starts dragging the Manny's body, okay, through the woods and stuff, hoping maybe he can take him to, civilization, and, get him ID'd, whatever. And then he finds a cave, starts giving up, and it starts raining. A bunch of water falls into Manny's open mouth. The next morning, he somehow discovers that he can push on his stomach and get drinking water. It just comes spewing out of the dead body's mouth.
Gross spit
You're just
water.
like, oh God, you just drank from a dead body gourd.
Yeah.
But yeah, and anyway, so at that point in the movie is when the Manny starts to wake up. Now I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah.
Because
he
really
comes back to life.
You never really know. Like, it's alluded to that his heart is beating and stuff like that, like when he gets excited and stuff. But you never really know if he's really coming back to life or if it's just, the main character's imagination.
I just had an epiphany.
Like, he's just hallucinating the whole thing.
Yeah, I just had an epiphany about this movie. This movie works at its best if you go into it as this is a modern-day fairy tale.
Sure.
That's what I think this is. Love brings Manny back. Because this guy needs Manny literally to survive, which gives him the first little spark, and then a nice little relationship grows between them, and Manny becomes more alive as the movie.
He becomes continues. A real boy.
Yeah, exactly. Which is fine. I don't even hate that.
It's kind of like Pinocchio mixed with, I don't know, like Cinderella or something weird.
Castaway,
like his dying phone is the glass slipper or something. Like I don't even know. But yeah,
it's fairy tale ish. Yeah.
Anyway, so when Manny wakes up, he's pretty much that of like a someone who's got amnesia or fucking like an infant almost.
Yeah.
So Paul Dano's character has to sit there and teach him everything about what life is, what this is, what everything is, and he does it all with discarded trash and sticks and twigs,
Yeah.
and it's really playful and really childlike.
Yeah. They use the Jurassic Park score.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a good Laura Dern quip in there.
Yeah.
You know, he sees the discarded Sports Illustrated and he starts getting excited, like, oh, what are those?
It's none of your business.
He gets a boner and the boner's got like compass powers. He starts using the boner to guide him home. And
so I feel like we're comfortably in spoiler territory now. So if you haven't seen it and you want to, you can turn it off now. But
just
yeah, let's start with the good shit because I want to start with
good shit.
Here's the stuff that I like about the movie. I think it hinges off two people's performance for 90% of it.
Yep.
So the performances better be good or it's a shit movie. And the performances are pretty good. I thought I was going to really hate it, but I walked out really liking the soundtrack, like the music.
Oh yeah.
Has a
ba,
weird,
ba, ba,
yeah,
ba,
all that stuff. At first I was like
it's almost like a quarter of a musical too.
Yeah.
And I hate musicals, but I didn't mind at all like when the characters start singing their own score.
Yeah.
It was pretty much what that was. Like it's full of montages.
Here's what I think.
Half the movie's a montage.
Yeah. Here's what I think that's for too. I think it's also alluding to the fact that in order to sometimes people keep from going crazy, like Tom Hanks creates a volleyball and talks to it,
right?
So he doesn't lose his mind. Which is why I say Wilson is like one of the greatest sidekicks of movie history because he literally saves Tom Hanks' life. That's what I think that is. In order to keep from going crazy, he talks to himself and he sings to himself. That's sort of how I interpreted the score because there's parts where you hear him singing that score or whatever.
Right.
And I thought
right at the very beginning of the movie where he's trying to hang himself. He's like trying to sing like a song to make it noble or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
So I like the performances. I like the music. I like the interplay between Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano. It's very fun. There's a lot of times where it's very heartwarming.
Very funny.
I would say it's more. It tries to be charming more than it's funny. I didn't find myself like really laughing.
Oh come on, man! Like when he first wakes up and he's like, "Hey, buddy," and he fucking he's like, "Oh!" and he fucking punches the shit out of the.
Yeah, that was funny. But I didn't laugh a lot in this movie. This movie is in a weird way. It's kind of sad.
Sure. There's a lot of melancholy moments.
Yeah, so I think it's hard for me to. It's like watching a movie like Tusk, where there's parts they want you to laugh, but I'm like, I can't laugh because Justin Long is being turned into a walrus.
Oddly enough, that's one of the only films that I could even kind of put right next to Swiss Army Man in terms of just like how weird it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of stuff that feels like taboo in there.
Yeah.
You know, like at the end of the movie, it pretty much becomes like a necrophilic anthem or something.
In a weird way.
In a weird way, it does. It's like advocating necrophilia, like almost.
Yeah, well, I mean that's one of the parts that I didn't like is
that made you feel weird, didn't it?
Well, no, just before that, when he says I'm not going to let them take you away, and he grabs Danny's body and takes him to the river, and you realize he's been in the backyard of these people's house
the whole time,
or maybe not the whole time, but. That's the thing is they don't answer it. They leave it deliberately unopened so you can say what you want about it.
Yeah, is he a creep? Is he crazy? Is he a hero? Is he what is
he? Did he kill this guy?
Is he sympathetic?
Yeah, like did he murder this guy and project his own insecurities on him to work through it? Like you don't know.
Technically, he is the bad guy of this story.
You think so?
He is.
Why?
Because in the realer than real sense, in the movie, in the realer than real sense, he's, got the chick's picture on his phone.
Yeah.
Right? He's already, quote, a creeper.
Yeah.
He's got a dead body, hanging out with a dead body in their backyard for weeks.
Or longer.
We don't fucking know. So yeah, and if you look at that from like a normal person perspective, he's a bad guy. He's gonna do something crazy. He probably killed this guy. So he's the bad guy of the story. But who do you sympathize with the most in this story? It's not the dead body. It's not the woman whose picture he has on his phone and he winds up in her backyard. It's him.
Yeah, so like there's a couple ways you can look at it. You can look at it as like, all right, what
Is the whole movie his psychosis? Is his
all of it,
psychosis even real?
or is it the fairy tale?
Sure, or is it a fairy tale? Or is it literally this dead body is waking up?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you look at it like completely literally, like, because at the end of the movie, Manny comes back to life and sails off. I like to look at it. He comes back to life. He sails off into the sunset to find another man to save. Like, he goes on his next quest to bring someone back to life. And that's the heartwarming way to look at it. Or only Paul Dano sees that, and he hallucinates the rest and thinks that's their reaction.
Right.
So if you look at
that's how I saw it.
If you look at it completely literally, this movie is a fairy tale, and magic exists, and blah blah blah.
If you look at it from a realist perspective, then it is a creep show.
Well, no, when I say from a realist perspective, I mean everything in the movie that happens actually happens, which means there's a guy.
That would be a literal. That would be like a literal perspective.
Yeah, a guy comes back to life from the dead and has magic powers. Now, if you look at it from like the real sense of like, all right, how do we interpret this? He's an insane person who maybe killed this guy, and in order to come to grips with that, he
befriended him.
He befriended him and fell in love with him. Or it's a little bit of both. And like I said, it's what do you think about it? Now, I think I think the intention of the film.
What I like to think is I'm kind of going for the little bit of both.
Yeah.
Okay, I like to think that first part where he's like stranded on the beach or whatever, he's not really stranded on an island. And he doesn't actually like swim back to mainland.
But he maybe does want to kill himself.
That probably happens.
Yeah.
And he probably like does find a body on the shore or whatever.
Yeah.
And thinks, oh God, like, I can like bring him back to civilization. And that's what spurs him to not want to continue with the suicide and want to get back to town or whatever.
Yeah.
And whilst doing that, he probably has a bunch of like nervous breakdowns, like, oh God, I can't take him back. People think I'm crazy. And like, so he just stays out there for a while.
Yeah. I think so.
Just trying to get up the nerve, and when he finally does, it all goes to hell again.
Sure. I think you can look at it almost any way you want. Like when he stumbles into that woman's backyard, and the little girl finds them. Mm-hmm. She talks to Manny. So, did you really see him, or is it Paul Dano? Is that his psychosis taking over and saying, "Oh, Manny talked to this little girl"? Because the girl says to him,
does the girl not know a concept of death and doesn't know that he's dead? Yeah,
because she says to his mom, the other guy talked or something. She references that Manny was speaking to her. Mm-hmm. So, they leave these things unanswered on purpose, and I think it is definitely. Here's the thing. You can interpret this movie in a very sinister way, as this guy just lost his.
Surely can. Yeah.
But I think the intention of the filmmakers, and that's what I always like to, when I see a movie like this, I always like to think, what's their intention here? The intention of this movie is to make you feel good. Ultimately, it's to make you feel like there's that part where Manny and.
Well, I didn't feel good walking out. Like I just felt weird. I felt a little shell shocked. Like
but I felt again I can't speak for everybody obviously, but I felt
it was like a half smile with a kind of like
it's bittersweet.
What the fuck?
It is bittersweet, but it's like. The intention of the filmmaker, that's why they put those like the way it's shot, and like there's nice cinematography in parts, and there's that beautiful kind of
love
pad
the shot.
Yeah, there's beautiful sort of pads and scores underneath it to make it feel existential, and like there's that
that's some of the best montages I've seen.
Sure. And there's that speech that Manny and Paul Dano, who we keep calling Paul Dano, even though I can't remember
his character's name is Hank.
Yeah. They have that speech in the tree about like all anybody wants to do is find someone who's as fucked up as they are, so they don't feel as shitty the rest of their life.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of think that's what the movie's about. And I think that it's just about he was so lonely about this girl that he loved, and he didn't know what to do. He couldn't say anything to her. He was stricken by his own shyness or whatever.
Sure.
He thought she'd think he was a loser. So either he goes crazy and he finds this dead body and he makes it his friend, or God or whoever sends this dead body to make him find a part of his heart again or whatever. You can interpret it all sorts of different ways.
So many different ways.
Yeah, and I think
that's why I think it's such a great movie.
I think it has, again, like what I would say is like what I would say what the filmmakers would probably say, which is like, what do you
like? It's better
what do you
than
think?
it's better than Pulp Fiction's What's in the Briefcase, man.
Yeah. Well, because at least in this movie they give you. I love Pulp Fiction. I'm not shitting on it, but like at least in this movie, they give you things. You do find out, oh, he's been in the backyard the whole time.
Right.
So if I take the movie literally, there is some mental thing happening. There's some mental illness or some reluctance on his part to come back to society.
Well, like the Manny even like says it at one point. Like, are you just pretending that I'm talking to you and shit?
Yeah.
Like, it subverts in on itself so many times.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the biggest strength of the movie and its biggest flaw. If you don't like that, movies like that can be frustrating. It Comes at Night
Sure.
It Comes at Night was like that because it just says, well, what do you think it is?
yeah,
And
I
was
definitely,
like-
I
I'm
definitely
like-
can get why it would be frustrating.
Yeah, and I just go, fuck
A lot
you.
of people
Like,
just want you know, they don't want to have to.
yeah,
Like, I'm not shitting on people who, you know, just want to watch their movies. They don't want to have to like think about it. They don't want to have to fucking
Yeah.
interpret it. They just want
But I
to
understand.
be
But I understand.
entertained.
I understand the impulse because at the end of It Comes at Night, I was like, "Fuck you! Tell me what the movie's about. Don't give me homework. What is it about? What happened? Answer your own questions. It's your art, and you're responsible to do that. I'm a musician.
I think
and
what's-
I have messages that I want to get
I
across.
think with this movie though, it's less about like what happened or what was real,
yeah,
and more about what happened in your heart during it,
how it made you feel.
and
Sure.
and what are the things that it made you feel that were real.
Yeah, I call that Cloud Atlas syndrome. It doesn't make logical sense, but it makes emotional sense.
Sure.
And
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, Cloud Atlas like confused the hell out of me in terms of like plot and like what the fuck was going
Yeah,
on.
my brother
but it
can-
made me feel things.
My brother can explain it pretty well.
Well, like I did a few rewatches. I'm
Yeah.
like, we're good. We're on solid ground with Cloud Atlas.
Yeah. I think these kinds of movies are ambitious. I'll put this in the realm of like
Is it worth a second viewing? I think we need to start.
no, because I think
we need to
this-
start asking. We need to start asking that too.
I
Is it
think-
worth a second viewing?
Yeah, fair enough.
Would you recommend it?
Yes, I'll tell you why. This
Okay.
movie's only like 80 minutes long, so it doesn't take a lot of your time to experience it.
Yeah, it's not that long.
Two, these kinds of movies are intriguing to me. I'm going to bring it back to something selfish for a second. I like Batman v Superman, and I like it because it is about like how do you interpret it and how do you feel? It's all about symbolism and all these things that make up a movie.
I'm gonna tell you the worst part of that movie, Rob.
Hold on one second. Let me finish my thought because what you said is like how do you choose to interpret it and like movies that are meant to be they're like you said you're
What
not
exactly am I supposed to be interpreting in
you said-
BVS?
you said that you're not trying to begrudge people who just want to watch their movies, but sometimes movies are not puzzles to be solved but things to be experienced.
Sure.
And that's how I feel about BVS. That's how I feel about a bunch of Cloud Atlas. I would put all those movies kind of on the same side of the room, even though they're different genres.
Like this isn't just entertainment. This will enrich you somehow.
Well, not even about. And I don't even think it's about the enriching. I think it's about what did you feel.
Sure.
It's like
yeah.
someone putting headphones in. They're not warning you. They come up behind you. They put you in a chokehold and they put headphones in your ears and they make you listen to a song for 6 minutes. And you go, "What did you feel?" Even if the song felt like
Even if you
nonsensical
didn't like it,
drones.
you had a reaction to it.
Yeah, and I think this movie, there's parts of it that I like. There's parts of it that I don't. And there's parts of it that I feel like, that genuinely just confused me. And, that's okay. Like, I would say this movie is... What I think about this movie almost doesn't matter, in a way. In a way. To take the easy way out. But, would I watch it again? No, because I think certain movies are only meant to be watched once. They're
Like
meant
you
to be-
don't think you're going to get anything extra out of it by doing a second viewing and
No,
paying a
because I
little
think I would
closer
just feel the
attention?
same things, but more intensely. But my confusion would grow as well. Like,
Oh man.
like it's like Schindler's List. I've watched Schindler's List once. I'm like, I don't need to see it again. You watch it once, you shed one tear, and then you never watch it again. There's a movie with Michael Fassbender called Hunger. And it's the opposite of Swiss Army Man. It's about the Irish Republican Army in the 1980s, and these people were imprisoned in this English prison, and they were outraged because they wanted to be treated like prisoners of a war because that's what they felt like they were. They were political prisoners. They weren't criminals. And so what they did is they took their, they would leave them in horrible living conditions. They took all their clothes and their beds. They'd shit on the walls and smear it on there. And like they lived in these horrible conditions and they staged a hunger strike for like 70 something days for like their own dignity, and most of them died. And Michael Fassbender lost 50 pounds for the role. And one of the last shots of the movie is he's dying in bed, and there's like long stretches of no dialogue in this movie. It's just them getting the shit beat out of them by prison guards and horribly violated. And then at the end of the movie, he's dying in this prison bed, and one of these prison guard comes up to him, and on his knuckles, he has the words tattooed, IRHC, means Irish Republican Hate Crew. He's basically saying, if you survive this hunger strike, I'm going to fucking kill you when you get out of this bed. I'm going to murder you. And then Michael Fassbender stands up on his feeble legs, and it looks him dead in the face, and then he collapses. And then the movie basically ends. And I was like, I felt traumatized watching it. There's a long, and the only real piece of dialogue in the movie is there's a scene between Michael Fassbender and you don't watch Game of Thrones, but it's a guy from Game of Thrones, and he plays his like preacher / like public defender. And he's trying to get them some sort of humane conditions. And Michael Fassbender tells him this long, it's like 30 minutes of dialogue. Tells him this long story about how he found a horse dying in the river, and its leg was shattered, and it was crying in pain. He picked up a rock when he was a kid and smashed its head in to put it out of its misery. And he was punished severely for that, but he knew it was the right thing to do. And like that's what the movie's about. It's about like sort of dignity and defeat or something like that. I could never watch the movie again. It made me feel real uncomfortable.
Why is it the opposite of Swiss Army Man? Just because it's
because
so dour and
it
it's so,
because it
like,
really happened. It's a true story.
Oh, balls.
But that's, the Swiss Army Man might be a true story, but I doubt it. But like, that's what I mean. But they're in the same vein of like some movies you just need to watch once, and this is a movie you should just kind of watch once for me.
Oh my God, Swiss Army Man is like the life of Pi, but with farts.
Yeah.
Substitute a tiger with farts.
Yeah, I would. That's not an unfair comparison. I have similar feelings about Life of Pi.
Yeah. I mean, Life of Pi is actually kind of like a similar, like, really these isolationist movies really do a lot to your head and heart there.
Even
like,
when they're not
Castaway. You were fucking mentioning Wilson and all that. Like, that's another isolationist movie.
Yeah.
That really just like.
I think even when they're not trippy head movies, like what's real and what's not, Castaway. I mean,
no, that was all literal. Like,
yeah, like that all happens to him. Like, there's a movie with Liam Neeson called The Gray. It's one where he fights the wolves.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
No, I don't think so.
You don't like it?
No, that movie promises wolf punching, and it does not deliver.
That's fair, but I don't think it's about.
It does not deliver.
But I think the movie.
Fuck The Gray.
The movie is about when you're by yourself, you kind of discover who you really are.
Yeah.
And I think there's like, it's not a great movie.
Paul Dano's a necrophilic, apparently.
But is that what he is, or is it that he finally comes to grips with who he is?
No.
I think that scene is he admits that,
when he kisses him underwater or whatever.
Yeah.
See, I thought that was like.
No, that didn't make me.
I thought he was trying to get air from his lungs or something.
That's what it is.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought was going on. I knew it wasn't just
Again,
like.
that's what I interpret it to be. But like, you could say
it's so romantic when it happens, though. You can't help it to be like, what?
I mean, you see air bubbles coming out.
Will y'all kissing now?
Yeah, because before he kisses him, he's about to die. Like, he's panicking. So I assume it's just air. Like, another power is I can give you my oxygen or whatever. But, like you can. I mean, when Manny sails back into the sea, like I feel like that's Paul Dano's character sort of coming out of his psychosis and sort of being like, I can function and I can be in this world and I can have the emotions I had with you. I can build those with other people. Sure. That's how I feel. And again, because the filmmakers,
or that could be the moment in which he totally loses it. We don't know.
But I feel like as far as like the way it's edited, the music is very uplifting. It's designed to make you feel uplifted. So I sort of like, again, I feel like the filmmaker,
or is that just another subversion?
It could be, but I don't think these guys are that clever, if I'm being honest. But I feel like the filmmaker's intention is to have you feel uplifted and to feel like Hank has overcome something.
Yeah.
That's and the intention of the filmmaker is always when it's a part like that.
Like the whole time he's teaching Manny about life and what to do and what not to do and just how to be. Yeah, he's really teaching himself.
Sure.
He's relearning just how to live in the world again.
Yeah. And when he gets discovered by that woman for the first time, he's all
It all kind of falls apart.
yeah, he's quiet and he's nervous. He doesn't know what to do, and he feels like she's gonna think I'm a creep and a loser, just like he feels when he sees her on the bus every day. I can't say anything to her; she'll think I'm a creep and a loser. And then by the end of it, he goes, "I don't care what she thinks. I don't care what they think. I'm okay with who I am." And like that's how I interpret that. But also, he did go crazy. He lived in the back of this cavern for a while. And he was gonna, it's. I think the truth is in between. If you want to interpret it that way, the way I parse this is I just go, all right, well, what do the filmmakers want you to feel? It's like whenever surely there's been movies where everyone sees something but you see something else.
Oh yeah, sure.
And like they think like when Superman snaps Zod's neck, they called him a murderer. I said,
God.
Yeah, I'm bringing it back to this because it's important. Yes, I'm bringing it back.
I thought we were so done with Man of Steel.
But I think it's a good analogy because everyone called him a murderer, but I said he killed the last member of his race to save everybody. And it's some people hate that movie because of that part. They think it's morally gross. I see it as the only thing that's morally responsible. Some people will see this as a movie about a man who killed a man and went insane. And that it's a twist ending. I don't think it is a twist ending. I think it's just the full picture is revealed to you.
Right.
That's all it is. And like some people interpret everything differently, even when the intentions of the filmmaker are miles apart. Like Pulp Fiction. What's in the briefcase? Some people say Marcellus Wallace's soul is in the briefcase.
Other people say it's just gold.
Yeah, just gold or something. Like, and I was like,
frankincense and myrrh. Just like, who the fuck knows?
Sure. And that's all fine. Like, but I think that like the intention of the filmmaker is what matters there. Like, what is?
I think the intention of the two Daniels was really to initially, like with the first act of the movie, is separate the people who are in and the people who aren't.
Sure.
Like the people who aren't on board.
That might
and
be
after
true.
that's done, they're like, okay, you people who are still with us. Huh. It's kind of like a stand-up thing almost. Like, you people who are still with us, we're gonna throw some stuff at you. It's gonna be kind of gross. You might not agree with it.
I don't feel like it is that gross though. Like, what happens in the movie that's that gross, really?
Well, I mean, like, he does a lot of gross stuff with the body of Manny. Like
he shoves the thing down its throat and uses it as
stuffs
like
a plug up his butt. They talk about sex and stuff. Like it gets really uncomfortable.
I don't think it does.
And
But
kind of taboo.
Maybe I'm a desensitized zombie. I don't know.
Perhaps.
I like how you didn't even attempt to
throw,
make me feel good right there.
So yeah, it's like a stand-up set. Like it's like, okay, now that you guys are with us, I'm going to throw all this stuff at you. These like crazy bad words or like this scenario that's just taboo. But I'm going to bring you around and show you my logic and make you feel how I feel about these things.
I don't disagree with anything you just said. Yeah. No, I feel like this is a movie that's like, this is the opposite of like a corporate made movie.
Yeah. Feels super. It feels super indie, but it also feels super polished.
Oh yeah, when I say it's like opposite, like this movie is not made by a writer's room and like a bunch of producers. And I say I always tend.
No, I think they only had one cameraman, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe. I mean, with $1 million, you gotta do it on a budget.
Like I looked up the IMBD before we started the cast, and it's got Paul Dano, Daniel Radcliffe, I don't remember her name.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Right, Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's got her, and then it's got the cameraman, like whoever his name is. It's like he's right up there with all the actors.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think we talked about it. We've talked about it a couple times during our superhero episode, during a horror episode. I favor one person's vision over a corporate safe movie. Mm-hmm. There's a way that you can make this movie, but it's has a big mass appeal, but it wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't.
It's the same. It's the sort of the
It
same.
wouldn't have the same flavor. It would be too diluted.
Yeah.
This really is the Daniels' vision.
Or it wouldn't.
And you can see it bleeding through the whole time.
And I think it's
like it's up like they have their own style, their own way to do it. Like I wouldn't look. I hate to be too smug about it.
Yeah.
But I would wager, man, that they're gonna be up there with like the Scorseses, with the fucking with the Spielberg. Like I think they
Not
got
with this movie.
I think they have potential because like
Sure.
they have like the Coens, like they've got like a style that's very unique. I feel
Yeah.
this doesn't feel like any other movie to me.
It's
really.
unique, but I don't think it's a. I mean, I don't. I think it shows that they're competent at making a movie, but it doesn't show that they're competent about telling a story that's concise or does anything. Like it's all. Like I said, it's all about, well, how did it make you feel? And then I go, it made me feel all right in some parts, but gross in others, and
I think it's
uplifted.
I think you need to rewatch it.
Why?
I think you need to rewatch it.
Why?
I don't know, because maybe you like.
I wanted to hate this movie. Keep in
Maybe,
mind.
maybe,
Like, so, I
maybe
feel
something, maybe like something else is going on, like in the corner of your eye, and you kept like, "Oh, that's dope."
You want me to see a cool slow-mo Black Panther flip or something, or a laser eyes out of Superman or something? Like, what do you want?
I don't know, like
No, I feel like, look, what I mean when I say that they've shown they can make a competent movie, they were able to put a camera on a stand and make things look really pretty and edit it and put nice scores under things and make you feel things with the pictures and the music working together. They're competent filmmakers in that aspect. I want to see what they do with an actual, like, here's a script and here's characters and here's a story and it's just about what the story is. I mean, like, I want to see that movie. You know,
I do too.
I liked this movie. I don't love it. This is not a movie that I think is capable of being loved because it's too interpretive. Your brain will fight itself, going, "No, that's not possible because this thing happens." And I was like, so like I don't.
Yeah, I'd love to see all like the Reddit theories on this movie or whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
They'd be cool for 3 minutes. Then I'd be like, this is the single greatest strength of the movie. It's also its flaw. Is that it is entirely.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
It's entirely interpretive. So, if things that I like, I choose to interpret this movie in the way that I like it best, which is all the, like I said, it's half in the middle. It's he did want to kill himself, but he didn't go on an island, but he made him think he was on an island so that his justification for killing himself would be better.
Yeah.
And he's all alone. And he is alone, but he's alone in his heart. He's alone in his head. So he finds this dead body, and maybe the dead body does have the powers, or maybe it doesn't. But the dead body keeps him alive, Wilson style. It keeps him alive.
What if? Okay. What if it was? If he's got the dead body, but it's all psychosis, but he's actually using the body as a multi-purpose tool bag.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
Like
that's
like
the
you
sinister.
think about it, and it's like, oh my god, like oh.
But does that mean that? Okay, so let me get into your logic here. So that would mean that he's using it to do stuff. Does that means the body? Does the body have karate chop action? Can it vomit up water, clean drinking water? Like what?
I'm thinking that might be the only real power that it might have. Like, yeah, sure, it farted, but it didn't actually have like, jet boosting fart power.
Yeah.
And like he could probably store water like in his stomach and esophagus and stuff, but it wasn't like a water spigot like it's
he would just
shown.
turn it over.
So there are probably like real things that he did with the body. They weren't just blown out of proportion.
Here's why I don't agree with that. I think the filmmakers.
Oh no, I'm just saying that's like an avenue in which to perceive it.
I'm sure some people will take the route of it's all in his head. I have a friend of mine, and we saw that movie Mr. Brooks with Kevin Costner, where he plays a serial killer.
I like that movie.
Yeah, it's not bad. When the movie ends, spoiler alert for the very, very end of Mr. Brooks, his daughter slits his throat and kills him.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up. My friend Blake says it's all a dream. The whole movie.
Even him waking up as a dream?
Yes. No, the end is him waking up just to go to work this day. But he's not really a serial killer, and he doesn't have conversations with William Hurt, which I'm like, that's the best part of the movie. Why would that be a dream? And I was like, but he thinks it's all a dream. And I was like, what do you mean it's all a dream? This is what I'm talking about. Like, there will be people who watch this movie and say it's all in his head.
I think he's actually still in Mr. Brooks. I think he's actually a serial killer. And then towards the latter half of the movie, it maybe switches into the dream, because he's maybe afraid that he passed on his serial killer genes to his daughter.
But that's what all I think is like. That's what the last scene is.
Right.
When he goes to kiss her goodnight and she stabs him. It's clearly a dream because he wakes up from it. I was like, what's the filmmaker's intention? The filmmaker's intention is to show his fear of the thing you just said, but in just that one scene. It's not all like when he kills Dane Cook. Is that a dream?
God, I hope
Shut up! Don't be mean to Dane Cook. He's a perfectly nice man.
He's coming back. He's making a comeback like Chappelle did.
I saw his last stand-up special. It was all right. I liked it.
I'm gonna forget you said that.
I didn't love it. I still liked it.
Anywho, we're not here to talk about Good Luck Chuck or
but I meant like his stand-up. I don't mean his movies or whatever. He's good in that movie though, as the creepy photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good there.
Actually, I like Dane Cook when he's playing a character that is scummy, unlikable.
Yeah.
I like Dane Cook when he's not likable.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So you like Dane Cook regular as he is. No, but yeah, I guess. But no, there will be people that say it's all in his head, but I think that the intention of the filmmaker is not that. I think the intention is to kind of make it like a fairy tale. He finds this magical boy that only he can interact with.
Right. I mean, that's really like a really astute, way to perceive it.
Yeah.
Is it's a fairy tale.
That's just sort of the way I look at it, and it's I don't think this is not a movie about can you be wrong. I was like, well, yeah, I can, but unless it's one of those things.
It's a movie about like, are you dead inside?
Yeah, but it's about like that I think that the crux of the movie, what the movie is literally about, is that conversation in the tree after the bear attack when he says maybe you'll find someone who will fart next to you and be a piece of shit with you. Like that's what I think the movie's about, and that's what I think Paul Dano's trying to get to.
About friendship.
Yeah, or love, but like not romantic love or platonic love, but like a cosmic
being
sense
able
of,
to feel love.
Sure, yeah, and I think that a friend of mine on Facebook was saying like it is
because you feel lots of things in the movie before you get to those good heartwarming feels,
and the reversal at the end. Like
right.
you have your mind made up until you see the backyard and stuff,
and then it's dashed, and then you're like oh
what?
Wow, maybe I was wrong about this guy.
Yeah, that's what I was really kind of visibly upset when that happened too. I was like, are they going to make him like a serial killer or something? Because I will not like that. Because up until this point, you've kind of left it open to interpretation, but you're making a real stand now, and it's a stand that I hate. It's stupid. But a friend of mine on Facebook said, unless you interpret your art and tell people what it's about, other people will misinterpret it, and you have to let them if that's the kind of art you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can say, what is Enter Sandman by Metallica about? And James Hetfield will say, oh, it's a child's nightmare. That's what it's about. But you can say, it's actually about there's a demon called the Sandman, and you can misinterpret it, but, like, the person who makes the art kind of knows better than you do. But there are some people who, by their nature, want to create art that is, for the entirety of its own sake, open to interpretation. When you watch a movie like this,
here's something.
read me a thing.
Been on the internet.
Yeah.
This is from ScreenPrism.com.
Oh, I hate that name already.
Well, someone posed the question: what message does Swiss Army Man send on social norms and self-delusion? Because it does. The movie deals with self-delusion. It deals with lying to oneself.
I don't know if I would say it's self-delusion, but keep going.
Well, it says the film shows how we become deluded by our lies to ourselves and others, allowing mistaken assumptions of weirdness to disconnect us from our truer selves in reality. It tells us to shake off the expectations and norms we have come to hold as law and see the world with more juvenile eyes. To do what makes us happy without worrying about the expectations of others, even if that means falling in love with a corpse.
I agree with the second half of that. I don't think it's a lie, though. I don't think Hank lies to himself. I think he has...
No, but he is very discouraged.
I think he has a mental break of some sort. But I don't think that's like he doesn't actively lie to himself.
No.
I think he has a
he's overcome by lots of fears, lots of hang-ups.
Yeah, he has a bad relationship with his dad.
Oh, yeah.
His mom's dead. He doesn't think that anyone will love him. That's what I think causes whatever mental instability is there. You know what this? You know, like it's this is. I don't know. We could talk about.
Yeah, we could go on about the
interpretation of it.
philosophical nonsense that this movie tries to deal with.
I don't think it's nonsense though. I think movies like this are fun, but some people will always shit on them and hate them, and some people will always think they're the most genius thing ever.
Some people will think they're the most genius thing ever. Other people will think it's the most pretentious shit ever.
Yeah,
You be the judge.
I don't think it's capable of being pretentious because pretentious.
No, it starts off with a bunch of farts. Like it says right at the very beginning, like, look.
I'll take
Like,
it a step further. I don't think movies like this are capable of being pretentious because they're designed for someone to look at you again, like, what did you feel? The end result is for you to say, well, I felt blank, blank, and blank. All right, then that's what that movie is to you.
Okay,
That's
what
it.
about movies like, I don't know, we'll get into like the pretentious of all pretentious proprietors or whatever, like fucking Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh God, here we go again.
Like fucking Magnolia.
seen
What the
two-
fuck is going on in that
I've
movie?
seen one movie from him. So
Like, oh my god.
I've seen There Will Be Blood, and I quite like it. I have to watch Magnolia. I haven't seen it in like a long time, and I can barely remember.
Like that movie's really open to interpretation too, but it's just like, what the fuck am I supposed to be interpreting here? Like, where's the themes? Where's the message? Like, yeah,
Sure.
there's weird stuff going on, and none of it's explaining
And
stuff.
I think
like,
I think without a certain creative vision behind it, it falls apart. Like
Yeah.
what I mean by that is they make real creative choices a lot in this movie. This movie isn't haphazard. They didn't just stick a camera and go, let's see what happens. Like they wrote
No,
this purposefully.
It's thought out.
They make montages with beautiful uplifting music and meant to make you feel warm and hopeful. That's done on purpose. So like I say, like what's the person's intention? You're gonna hate me for this. There's another movie like this that I kind of don't like.
that maybe what people do behind closed doors is, just that or something. I don't know. Like,
No, but
if this gross taboo thing that they're doing is what makes them happy.
Yeah, sure. But I think that like when I say like there are some movies that don't make that competent decision. What I mean by that is they don't make those. There are movies that are just completely like random, and that feel like there isn't a decision being made. They won't put music under a scene purposefully or something, so you'll feel whatever you feel. You know, like M. Night Shyamalan does that in some of his movies. Some of them good, some of them shit. And like there's a moment in like Signs. I can't remember what the moment is, but like it's in the director's commentary where he says, "I left no music under this part because I want you to interpret the facial expression your own way, and to see what you feel that character's feeling." That's fine. I'd rather have a strong creative decision made than just be like hands off, because that feels lazy to me.
Yeah.
To just say, well, you do it. There's another movie similar to this. You're probably going to roll your eyes when I say this, but I kind of don't like it because I don't think that it's not, I don't think it's handled as smoothly as this one. You ever see Sucker Punch?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I was like really on the fence about that movie. Like I wanted to really like it, like a whole lot.
There's
but
aspects of it I like, and there's aspects of it I'm like, I get why people are shitting on this part or whatever.
yeah.
And I think
it's probably one of Oscar Isaac's best roles, actually.
Oh yeah, where he plays the skeezy.
Yeah, the skeezy
Yeah.
doctor guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's very sinister. I like the undertones in it, but I think that it's I think it plays
Like the parts where it's supposed to be heavy, and it's supposed to like, give you a gut punch.
Yeah, when
or
they're
a sucker punch.
like when they're
yeah, like when they're
lobotomizing people or
lobotomizing her. But those moments, even though they're supposed to be like big subversions and the twists, like the big twist, and like it feels like it falls kind of flat to me. Yeah, that is the twist, that she's just fucking insane. And
Oh, I thought that was the whole premise in the first place. Again, here we go to like interpretation. Like, because in the beginning of the movie, they bring her to an asylum, and then the movie changes. It goes to it starts asylum, and then it goes to whorehouse or whatever it is, dance house, and then like their quests become crazy Zack Snyder action sequences.
Yeah.
Which is
I was remembering it wrong.
yeah, but I think that these movies are like they're sister movies in that way. It's like, well, what do you think? But if you do that, there are always going to be people who either don't get it or don't like it and won't ever like it.
Yeah.
Especially for like people don't need any more reasons to not like Zack Snyder, and people won't need more reasons to not like this movie either.
Here's the thing, man. I like Batman versus Superman.
Mhm.
There's one glaring fucking flaw in that movie, though.
Yeah.
One big, giant hole.
You can say it's the Martha movie.
It's the
Or Martha
fucking
scene?
Martha thing. It's the dumbest shit
I was checking our time.
I have seen in a movie, especially a superhero movie.
It's open to interpretation.
It's so bad. It is the worst fucking plot device I've seen in the last 15 years, bar none. The rest of the movie is fine, though.
What don't you like about it? That scene.
The Martha thing?
Yeah.
It's just dumb. It's just really, it's just dumb, Rob. Like,
I'm-
oh my
I'm
God,
not-
your mom
I'm not-
has the same name as me. I can't kill you.
I'm not getting defensive.
Like,
I just want to know like some specifics.
it's just that as a plot thread of, oh, your mom's got the same name as mine, or
That's not what
or oh, you have a mother, or whatever. Like,
Do you want to hear my reasoning, or do you not have any interest in it?
no, because we're not here to talk about Batman versus
Well, no,
Superman.
but I feel like we're in the point. I would like to take this time to talk about movies that we feel are.
You just need to get out of Zack Snyder's ass.
I'm not. I think that these tie together because I wanted to tie the end of this podcast off with like interpretive movies that are kind of wide open to sort of.
I don't feel like Batman versus Superman isn't open
No,
to interpretation.
neither do I. I think Sucker Punch is a better analogy. Batman and
Right.
Superman, all the stuff really happens.
Was
in
that
it.
just some mouth diarrhea?
No. You feel what you feel. I was gonna say. Do you want, I was gonna say. Do you want to hear my interpretation of that scene?
Yeah, sure.
'Cause I do have
Sure.
a thing about it, but we can save that for another like Aquaman or something if you want a superhero episode.
Man, we gotta see Aquaman.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's supposed to be pretty cool. People, they leaked. They didn't leak a trailer. They did a trailer at CinemaCon, and it had everybody on the internet like kind of blown up. So hopefully Comic Con will get to see like a cool first look.
I do want to see that movie with that the guy from Atlanta.
Donald Glover,
No. It's one of the supporting actors from that show.
Mahershala Ali, I can't remember
I
his name.
think, man.
That's the guy from Luke Cage, Cottonmouth or whatever.
No, it's not Cottonmouth.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it's a movie. It's the guy who plays Darius on the show Atlanta.
I haven't seen Atlanta yet.
Um,
I know we said when
he,
Da Vinci was on, I would watch it.
he plays like the woke black guy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so he's in this movie about like telemarketing. And in the trailer that I saw for it's a bombastic trailer.
Yeah.
He's sitting next to Danny Glover, at their little telemarketing job. And he's like, "Oh, you got to use your white voice." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And then Danny Glover busts out like this high pitched, like fucking, like Chad from Dell voice, and it's that's what starts the trailer off. And I'm just like, "What the fuck is going on?" It looks like
How did we get here from Aquaman?
I don't know. I got excited about movies coming out.
It's all right.
Anyway,
Now he feels all insecure.
Sucker Punch, very close to Swiss Army Man in terms of the way it subverts expectations and what it makes you feel and shit.
It's almost like I had expectations going into this because I thought you were gonna hype this movie to death or something, and I felt like
And I was really just like, just watch it, man.
yeah. And so I did, but if you hadn't said anything, I think I wouldn't have expectations. Like I didn't have expectations for Sucker Punch. I heard it was a crazy movie. And
I thought it was going to be stupid.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would like that movie at all.
just walk-
But I came out of Sucker Punch going like, oh, it was
A
pretty
friend
good.
of mine said the same thing that you said. He said, just go in and just experience it, and then just like, what do you feel at the end? That's the best thing to do it. And I think that's true for this. I think it's more true for this.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like, I don't know. How do you describe this movie to somebody?
You
You can't. Like, you can give
Well,
them
you
that
start off
you can give
with
him that
by
synopsis.
describing it as he jet skis with a dead body that farts, and
Yeah.
by the time you get that out of your mouth, people are already like, "What the fuck?" Like,
Stoners will be like, oh, I'm all in. And fucking
I'm all in, bro.
snooty film critics will be like, I would never. Or they'd think it was genius and incredible. Or like, I don't know.
Either or, it's super polarizing.
Yeah, and I think that like the best way to here's how I would describe it to somebody. I would say it's a modern day fairy tale about a man who discovers a dead body that helps bring him back to life. That's what I would say. Yeah,
So yeah, what kind of genre would you place this movie in, Rob? The fairy tale. That's where you're going with
I would
this?
just. I mean, it's an indie movie for sure.
Yeah.
But I would say like that's how I choose to see this movie. I think that's how it works at its best. It's like because I feel like it has like those fairy tale tropes, but like it just there's also cell phones and
I'm gonna
porn
invent a new
mags.
phrase here. I'm gonna call it a psycho romance.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with any of that. Are there any other like movies that you feel
Movies like this,
that
I
you
would
feel-
say maybe like Eternal Sunshine.
I've never seen that.
You've never seen Eternal Sunshine?
People keep telling me you have to watch it. And
Dude.
I intend to.
Dude.
He chooses to forget all the loving memories he has of someone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I've
And
heard
then
that premise
like
somewhere.
halfway through the process of them wiping it, he decides, "Oh, I don't want this to happen. I want to keep it."
That's the premise of an episode of that 70s show too. Newman, it's the one where
Charlie Kaufman did it first. I don't care.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just saying like that happens in an episode of that 70s show.
You know,
I'm sure Eternal Sunshine is better.
This is way better. It's got the chick from Titanic in it, like Kate Winslet. Isn't that her name? Yeah, she's great.
I heard it's one of Jim Carrey's like more heartfelt performances.
Oh yeah. It's right.
I do
It's
wanna
like
watch
you
it.
you put it right up there next to the Truman Show as like his best dramatic roles.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of some more movies that I like that kind of fit.
Sucker Punch is a good one.
Yeah, Sucker Punch might be the only one that
I think Eternal Sunshine's a good one. I would say even Jacob's Ladder, maybe.
I've never seen that either. God damn it.
Well,
I'm
in
sorry.
Jacob's Ladder, he deals with psychosis.
No, I
you
know what
he
I know what
deals-
it's about. I just haven't seen it yet. You ever watch any movies by Terrence Malick?
Terrence Malick.
He did The New World, Tree of Life, The Thin Red Line.
I don't think I've seen any of those, Rob.
Yeah, he's my brother thinks he's a genius, and some of his movies are
And
amazing.
people think Paul Thomas Anderson's a genius.
It's your Zack Snyder, but you hate him, and I love mine or whatever. But no, so Terrence Malick is kind of famous for making these big, deep existential movies. Like The New World is about the conflicts between the Jamestown settlers and the Indians
Okay.
when they first arrived. But it's shot in that beautiful, like
Is it like the story of John? Is it like the real Pocahontas?
yes, that's exactly
okay,
what it
okay.
is.
That's cool.
Colin Farrell is
John Smith.
John Smith. I can't remember the lady's name. She was really young at the time too.
Really, they couldn't get Owen Wilson to be John Smith, make him look like the dude from the
But
Disney movie.
my thing is, it's really long, it's really stark, and there's like it's shot in that way that Terrence Malick. Like there's moments in Man of Steel that people say like the cinematography is Terrence Malick-y.
You can't
lots of,
see
like-
it, listeners, but every fucking time Rob says Man of Steel
I'm sorry.
or
What do you-
Zack Snyder or Superman,
I can't.
I
discuss this-
facepalm so hard.
I can't do the reference to cinematography without referencing a thing that you've seen because you haven't seen Terrence Malick's movies. His cinematography, like the way he uses it, is kind of iconic. It's what
Yeah.
he's known for, and it's in that movie especially. But it's like it's kind of violent. It's really long, and it's like he's famous for doing like these narrative voiceovers, like kind of like in Swiss Army Man. So when I see his movies, like The Thin Red Line is like it's a World War II movie.
Okay.
And it's really there's like some real fucked up shit in that movie. There's a guy who like jumps on a grenade and like Medal of Honor style kills himself to save everybody else and stuff.
Woof.
And I was like, Jesus Christ. And it's he did that movie The Tree of Life, which is like The Tree of Life
I
is
think
like,
I've heard of that movie.
it has dinosaurs in it. He tried to make a movie that encompasses the entirety of like human emotion and life, and it is about as mixed as you would. Your face says it all right now. It starts with like a kid.
My face is like, are you serious?
Yeah, Sean Penn is in it, and Sean Penn.
Of course he is.
Sean Penn plays a kid, or he plays a man. But when he was a kid, his dad beat the shit out of him and was really abusive. His Brad Pitt was his dad, and he grows up and he has all these dysfunctions. But there's also weird parts of the movie where it cuts back to like 65 million years ago, where there's dinosaurs. I don't know how to describe it to somebody. Some people love this movie and think it's one of those things that encompasses all the most emotional life in the universe. And some people watch it and go, it's a long, sleepy mess with dinosaurs.
It is not the spectrum of human emotion. It's just a stinker of a movie.
Yeah, I don't know. And again, I think it's like Swiss Army Man. It's how you interpret it. My brother Sean loves Terrence Malick. He's like one of those people that critics love. They think every movie he does is a literal masterpiece. But if you ask Terrence Malick what the best movie he did was, it's The Thin Red Line. Because it's
It's a war movie.
Yeah, it's a thing that really it's about Guadalcanal. It's a thing that really happened.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a real brutal, horrible conflict, and it's about how you can find peace, you know, and amongst.
So you say Terrence Malick makes movies that feel kind of like Swiss Army Man?
Yeah, he did a movie called The Knight of Cups, and it's about Christian Bale as a Hollywood screenwriter walking around these drunken sex orgy parties, feeling, you know, emotionally, you know, fucking flaccid or whatever. It's so. I tried to watch it, and I was like, God, it's fucking boring. It's just him. It's all the voiceover and stuff. You know, like imagine the voiceover of like Matthew McConaughey from True Detective, but like less coherent for 2.5 hours over a bunch of like drugged out.
I couldn't
scenes.
handle it. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, you'd get sick of it immediately. I asked Sean what he thought about it, and he was like, "I have no comment," because he knows it's bullshit, and I wanted him to admit it, but he didn't. But yeah, it's not good. But I think that his movies are kind of analogous to this.
All right.
What are a good movie? All the movies we're mentioning are like they're mixed. What's a good movie that it's all open to your own interpretation? I'm trying to think of one.
Yeah, Fear and Loathing, maybe. No, but a lot of that's like it's all literal. Like you know the moments and where you know reality blurs.
It's
and
really just
stuff.
like the end is like, oh, he's not real. I mean, spoiler alert.
This is the end, maybe.
Which one is that?
That's like the comedy with like all the Seth Rogen troupe.
Yeah. I don't think.
Yeah, dude, this is
Is
the end. Like that movie got weird and.
But is it interpretive or does it just all really happen and it's like I don't know, it's funny. Like
It could be interpretive. I think like you could be like, oh, that's a metaphor, and that's a metaphor if you really stretched it.
Yeah, I guess.
We're looking for movies where the movie's like basically a whole fucking metaphor.
Yeah. I like that though. I like that movie. It's funny.
I do.
I like the part when Jonah Hill is possessed by the demon. Oh, is it compelling me? Is it compelling me? Let me tell you, it's not that compelling. That's a good joke.
I love that Danny McBride just plays Danny McBride in that movie. Yeah. It's pretty good.
He is. That guy's good. He should do more stuff. I feel like he's in a lot of stuff.
Have you seen Foot Fist Way?
I have not.
That's like the first movie he ever did. They did it like
he's doing the new Crocodile Dundee movie.
Oh, good lord!
As the son of Crocodile Dundee, it opens up with like in the outback, and then like you're expecting like
I think him and another guy are doing like a Michael Myers reboot.
Yes, I think he's writing it.
I think it's going to be better than what Rob Zombie had to offer.
People seem to hate that movie.
Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Yeah, both of them because he did 2 of them. Do you hate him? I remember seeing.
I haven't seen him.
I saw the first one and I was like, it's fun.
The only Rob Zombie movie I've even seen was The Devil's Rejects.
The only good one.
Like
all the other ones feel bad to me.
Yeah, like I haven't even seen House of a Thousand Corpses.
I feel like that. I feel like those movies could be interpretive. The Devil's Rejects. Because those people, there's part.
Yeah, sure.
The end of that movie feels like those people don't see the world the way you do.
Right.
They're crazy.
Yeah.
They're making a sequel somehow. Didn't they all get murdered?
Yeah,
at the
they
end?
fucking die. Maybe it's a prequel. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah,
Rob Zombie should stop making movies for a little while.
Yeah, go make another album or something. Like, what are you doing?
His horror movies aren't good. They're mostly just kind of gross and just
torture porn.
Yeah, like I want a thinking man's horror movie. I know that's smug to say, but I do.
Yeah, for a podcast that's supposed to be smug free. I mean, we kind of took a little bit of a pretentious detour with this one.
I don't think we did. I think I was pretty level headed with it. Like I get everything.
I feel bad though. Like I feel guilty. Like I like
liking something interpretive.
I feel like I love this movie for all of the pretentious reasons.
Like what?
Like I don't know. I just like when I watch the movie, I feel like, oh man, I'm getting some shit here that no one else is gonna possibly get, and like, oh, I understand what they're doing.
There's nothing pretentious about that though, because we all like to feel like we're on the inside of a private joke that nobody knows about.
Sure.
But I think that I don't think it's pretentious to like this movie. I don't think it's smart to shit on it though, because I don't think this movie is like. Again, I don't think it's designed for that. Like, I can see people being like, "This movie is dumb and juvenile," and I'm like, compared to what? Like, what is this?
Dumb and Dumber?
Do you think this movie is trying to be like, fucking like Saving Private Ryan?
No, it's trying to be like, look, we've got things to say and things to get off our chest, but we don't have the best vehicle for it,
and we have $1 million.
So here's a dead body that farts. You know, we are juvenile. Like, well, like, it's trying to get you to like a juvenile like vehicle of thought.
You know what? Like, I would compare people who don't like this movie for the wrong reasons. Let me be clear there. Don't want to be getting smug there. Reel it back.
They don't like this movie for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I would say that people who like
You hear that? You hear that, listeners? You're wrong.
Yeah, people who think this movie is like juvenile are just they're bringing too much into it. It's like going into Pacific Rim and saying I wanted a smart giant robot movie, like or whatever. Like,
it's why.
Understand what your movies are when you watch them. That's the only thing I
didn't you see Rampage?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how I watched it. I didn't go in expecting high theater, and I didn't get that. I got The Rock jumping in slow motion and some cool monsters fighting, and that's fucking it. That's the only. If there's ever any like advice I give on how to watch movies, that's all I would say. Know what you're watching when you go in. In this movie, I knew what I was gonna get by not knowing at all what I was gonna get. So I just went in and was like, all right. It's 90 minutes long. It's not that long. It's a few.
It's worth your time. Definitely.
Yeah. I don't. You said, would I watch it again? No. Even though I said I wouldn't watch it again because some movies are only supposed to be watched once, even if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't watch this again. Because I feel like it says everything it needs to say, and it's in the entirety of its runtime. And either you will not like it by the end, or you will like it by the end. But if you like it, I feel like you don't need to see it again. You've seen all the parts. Like,
sure.
You know, it doesn't have.
No, I did rewatch it for this, and in rewatching it, you know, there was a few more things that I picked up of. Oh, they did something like a little cool here. Yeah. There's a.
We're running a little long on time. Do you want to give any examples of that before we wrap up? Little like symbol things that you saw that you thought were dope, if you can remember. Or we can wrap up.
I had forgotten that at the very end when they see Manny, you know, jetting off into the sunset, they just go, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Which is how I feel the directors want you to feel at the end of the movie. Yeah. Is just like, "What the fuck?"
Like, all right.
It's not a bad "what the fuck." It's not a good "what the fuck." It is simply a "what the fuck."
Yeah. What the fuck, man? That's Mark Maron's "What the fuck."
Exactly.
when he does his podcast, there's two kinds of "what the fuck." It's like "what the fuck," and the other one is "what the fuck." What the fuck. So
there's a third one. It's "what the fuck."
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But yeah,
I think this movie is. I feel a need to say that. I think this movie is harmless. There's nothing wrong with it.
I think it's mostly harmless.
Do you think there's an element that could be harmful?
I think that there's an element that is, I keep saying this word, but it's like it's subversion. Like it,
yeah.
It's wanting you to delve into maybe like the darker parts of you or whatever.
The parts that you keep to yourself.
The parts that you don't like about yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, we are running a little late on time, and next one we've got Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2.
Otherwise known as X-Force the movie.
X-Force the movie.
Super stoked.
Yes.
For all the jokes and quips and blood and gore and
we might
X-Man goodness.
We might do some Paul Thomas Anderson for our next blind date because we need to... I have to understand
We need to crack this guy's... I need to crack the code. I need to figure out why people like Paul Thomas Anderson.
You know, Paul Thomas Anderson is your Max Landis. That's what that is. He's a man you have a vendetta against, and you must...
He didn't really do anything wrong.
But I don't like him. I don't like what he's about. I don't like the way he wears his belt.
I don't like the cut of his jib.
The cut of his jib.
I kind of wanted to see Isle of Dogs, though. Because that doesn't look like any other movie he's done to me. It's animated.
Have you ever seen There Will Be Blood?
I've seen clips and phrases.
You should watch it.
I've seen like the drink your milkshake scene and stuff.
Have you ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
Oh, I love that movie.
It's like that, but it's not funny at all. It's real fucked up.
Sounds fun.
It's not fucked up like in a violent way, but it's just like...
All right, how about this? On our next blind date, I'll watch There Will Be Blood.
No, because it's my turn next.
Oh, shit.
So I get to pick a thing. But I do want to do a Paul Thomas Anderson one eventually because I got to see like...
Okay, well, when we do the Paul Thomas Anderson one...
Yeah. I'll watch Magnolia. And
you watch Magnolia.
like, and just
and
watch it explode.
I'll watch There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
And then we'll just talk about fucking how stupid both of the movies are, respectively.
Yeah. A lot of people like see when they saw There Will Be Blood, they were saying like it's the movie of the decade. It's like like the Wolf of Wall Street. It's about greed and how it destroys people.
Oh, so it's about America?
Yeah. It actually yeah, exactly. It's about an oil tycoon.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
exactly what he is. So I mean that's a perfectly reasonable thing to say. Anyway, we've gone on long enough. This has been The Movie Date with Rob and Zach, a podcast for people who like movies but don't want to be smug about it. I have been Rob.
Oh, you can find us. Well, I'm sure you probably already found us if you're... Yeah, never mind. We don't need to do that.
If you're listening to this, we should probably do it just because we should.
You can find us on podbean.com.
And SoundCloud.com.
And SoundCloud.
And YouTube.com because we just got our artwork is almost finished. And we're going to be uploading all these on YouTube as well.
It's going to be great.
Probably be fine, actually, but that's fine. Not everything has to be great all the time.
So, yeah, next week, Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2. Goodbye.
Later.